Hi everybody, my name is Paul DC and this is my YouTube channel, How to Retire in Belize. And episode 2, Where the Heck is Belize, is starting in about 30 seconds. Before we get into it today, I do these for free. I don't charge you anything to subscribe. So when you go to subscribe, you just hit it. Doesn't cost you a thing, but it lets me keep doing these things free for you. And then also, if you see the like, you don't have to like it if you don't like it, but if you do like it, hit that like button as well. You search for how to retire in Belize. You'll see a lot of channels on this. And I'm not saying that I'm better or worse than any of them, but some of them are even saying what not to do or why you don't want to go to Belize. It's really kind of, it's not a crazy thing, but it's like some of them are just showing you the good and the bad. And I get that that's great advice. Obviously, retiring in a foreign country may not be everybody's cup of tea. I'll tell you what I like about here, and I will help you in every step of the way, so that you don't. Most of the times, I think when the people had like, you don't want to be in Belize. People that are impatient, people that don't want to, like they're used to, like the DMV, you know. Some things take a long time to get done here, but really most of it is really, really minor. Okay, so where in the heck is Belize? So I'm going to put the map up in front for you, and you're going to see that it is a country. It's not even though they do have islands around us, but it is a landmass called Belize. Now, originally, years and years ago, it was called British Honduras, and it was under the crown colony of the British Empire from 1781 till 1964. And then after 1964, it was under self-rule, and then they got their independence. Now this is September right now, so this is really the month that in 1981, Belize got its full independence, and they're celebrating that this month. And when you look at the map, you'll see on the north and the west of it is Mexico. And then if you take a look at Guatemala, it is to the west and a little bit toward the south. And then on the eastern shores, it is all about the Caribbean Sea. So that's why there's so many resorts, so many places that are right on the water. And then if you go further, kind of south and then to the east is Honduras. Now again, remember it was originally British Honduras, but it is now its own country. There's a lot of speculation on where the name Belize came from, and there's a lot of dispute on that. It's probably because there were so many cultures. There was the Mayan culture, then there was a British culture. But then again, British culture, that's why the official language still to this day is English, which makes things a little bit more convenient for us English-speaking folk. Okay, so they got their full independence in 1981. So, and I like to say that because of that, this is the first generation of Belizeans that are getting their advanced degrees and computerizing and things like that. So things that we don't have now, probably in the coming years, you may be able to renew in your DMV on your computer instead of waiting for 2 hours to do it. We can dream, can't we? Okay, so what is this landmass? Okay, this is called Belize, and it's roughly the size of New Jersey in the United States. The big difference is the current, and actually I had it to the exact person today. The population, current population is 423,970 people in the entire country. Now, If the landmass is the size of New Jersey, what is the population of New Jersey in the United States? 9.5 million. What does that mean? It's 22 times more crowded in New Jersey than it is in the whole country of Belize. Only 423,000 people in that. So that's why there's a lot more room. That's why land is abundant. Land is also a little bit much more affordable. And but I also want to show you this other map before we continue on this lesson, because Belize is made up of a lot of different districts. So there are 6 districts that are in this map of Belize, and you'll see the top one you see at the top is Corozal, and that is right near the northern border, which is Mexico. And people that kind of settle there end up maybe going to Mexico a lot because you have some of the big box stores there, like you can get a Home Depot or a Walmart. But still, even if you're buying and bringing things back in, you might get hit for some duty on that. I'll talk about the tax structure in a little bit in this episode as well. Okay, so that's Corozal. Then as you're coming down, you'll see another one sort of west, in that west portion of Mexico, or the eastern portion of Mexico, west on Belize. It's called Orange Walk. I don't know much about that. I haven't really been to Orange Walk. I was basically mid of the country and down towards the south of the country. Okay, so that's called Orange Walk. And then you have Belize. Now, Belize is a district, but it's also the most populous city. It is not the capital city, but it is the most populous. It's where if you're gonna go buy furniture, do things like that, that's gonna be the most populous part, just so you know. All right, and then you have the Cayo district to the west part of the middle of the country. And then you have Stan Creek. This is where I am right now. I'm talking to you from Stan Creek. And there's a lot of beaches there as well, a lot of government buildings there as well. And then at the very bottom, and I haven't gone down this way, is called Toledo. So those are the 6 districts that you have in this beautiful country called Belize. Now, when I'm talking about retiring in Belize, to give you sort of a full disclosure, I did a lot of research before we came here. And I think there's only one way to decide if this is going to be for you or not. For example, you could probably contact a realtor down here and say, I want to buy a property, whether it's a lot or it's an already made house, and you've never been here. I think that's a bad idea. I really do. And so we'll start with this in this particular lesson. There are 3 major areas where most of the U.S. and other expats settle here in Belize. And those would be Ambergris Caye. Now, Ambergris Caye is an island, and that island is right off of the international airport. When you land in Belize City on the international airport, you can either take a little, literally 4-minute flight to Ambergris Caye, or like a 20-minute ferry ride to get to that. Now, it is an island. It's a very touristy island. A couple of things about if you wanted that to be your final destination to retire. Yes, it's a little bit touristy. So that's where a lot of people come. They're going to go there to come. They're snorkeling and they're scuba diving, and it's an island. So if you're going to build on an island, it's more expensive to build on an island than it would in the mainland, where trucks can bring all of your goods. Now you have to either have a ferry them over, so things are going to be a little bit more expensive. I did that for a couple of days. Then there's another island where some have settled, and that is Key Cocker. Now, Key Cocker is really closest to the blue hole. That is that incredible barrier reef, the biggest barrier reef in the world. It actually outpaces now the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. When we checked that, well, let me just say how we did this, and this is the recipe for success for if you're thinking it about doing this. We made a decision that we thought this might be the place, but we weren't sure. So we took a 12-day vacation. And in that 12-day vacation, I wanted to look at the 3 most popular places that people were retiring. So what we did is we first went for 8 days in the area that I thought, with my research, would be the one that we would most like. And that was the one here in called Placencia. So we have Ambergris Caye, we have Key Cocker, and we have Placencia. Now, what is Placencia? Well, it's in that Stand Creek district in the middle of the country. You do have beaches, you have a lot of different things. I decided we're going to stay at 3 different points. Now, this Placencia is again, it's not an island. It's connected to the country. And then there's a 24-mile, so it's a peninsula. So if you look at the peninsula, it's about 24 miles from the time you get onto it until you get to the very, very end of the landmass in Placencia. So we went to 3 different places on that. We fell in love with the people. Other places that we've been as expats, whether it was Costa Rica or when I was working in England for like 6 weeks, it's a lot of us versus them mentality. Down here, these people appreciate you. We appreciate them. It's not an us versus them mentality. So we did the 8 days on this peninsula and found a place that we thought we were pretty sure we were going to buy. And then we spent 4 days at Mahogany Bay, which is on San Pedro. And that is where Ambergris Caye is. And again, whenever people ask me about Belize, and I'll give you the most frequently asked questions in another episode. But one of the things I want you to understand, I say to people, have you ever driven a car in New York City in rush hour? Because a lot of people have never been to New York City, or they've been there, they've flown in, they've flown out. Traffic is pretty epic in New York City. Now imagine you're on a small island filled with golf carts at rush hour in New York City. So and then every time you come to a bump, on the golf cart. So we kind of ruled that out really pretty quickly. And then we took a day trip down to Key Cocker. Key Cocker was nice, but it was almost too remote. And again, you're going to be different than me. Things that you like, things that Judy and I like, may be different than things that you would like. But I got the feeling when I was at Key Cocker that it was like Key West probably in the 1940s or 50s. So they're just kind of getting their sea legs. They're just starting to build buildings over there. Again, too touristy for me. We wanted to be in a community, basically. And I feel like we found that where we are here. Okay, now a couple of more things before we wrap up this episode, which is where the heck is Belize. Again, very easy to get to here. A lot of international flights come right into the Belize City, and then from there, you either rent a car or you go to a little puddle jumper. We take a 15, 20-minute puddle jumper to our local airport and then get a taxi to our house. But I want to talk about how affordable It really can be. All right, number one, when I found the lot that I wanted, now I'm not going to give you all the details of money because Judy and I don't like to share details about money. But I will tell you that there was a huge lot, western facing on the lagoon. That's what's behind me right there. That's a lagoon. Now this lagoon is navigable to go all the way to the Caribbean and come back. But we like sunsets, so we get a beautiful, different sunset every single day. So I found, purely by accident, and I told you I'm going to give you things like builders and other things that if you're really interested in doing this. When we decided we were looking some places that were on the Caribbean side, and we just weren't feeling it. So I started to drive. We were driving on this peninsula on the western side, and we happened to go into this one little area, and there was one house, like a model house on there, and then there were, I want to say, maybe 18 lots on this whole thing. And I went to the end of this. There were two on the very end of this little driveway, and it was western facing. The one lot on the right had sold. The one on the left was available. So I'm like, wow, Judy and I looked at it. It was about sunset, and I go, this is really nice. It's a big lot. And so as we were leaving, this crazy guy comes running out of the construction office and knocks on my window, and I roll it down. Yes, it was a roll down window back then in my rental. And he said, hey, my name is Tom. I'm the builder. I have been building for 30 years in Washington, Baltimore, Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. For 30 years. I came here like 10 years ago or whatever it was at the time. I have a model home I'd like to show you. And I said, well, sorry, but we have a reservation at our favorite Italian place. You know, we'll come back tomorrow. And I said, I'm sure he thought we were blowing him off. And he swears, no, he knew we were coming back. So we came back. We looked at the construction. And we were like, wow, this is like anything that we would get with a Miami hurricane-rated building. And it's right here. And it's affordable. Now, I won't tell you exactly how much the lot was, but I will tell you that the lot we had in Madeira Beach was, the land we sat on was 8 times what we paid for that lot. And this lot is twice the size of what we had in Madeira Beach. We built the home. It's a beautiful home. It reminds me of a couple of things. So let's talk about a little bit about the economics. And I'm gonna cheat on one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because I'm going to do a most frequently asked questions video maybe in the next 2 or 3. But people do ask about hurricanes, because this is the Caribbean, and they say, well, what about the hurricanes? You're worried about that? The answer is no. And the reason is we are in the Western Caribbean, and if you understand how hurricanes work, they form off the coast of Africa, and then it moves on into the Caribbean, and it usually either turns right when it gets towards where the U.S. is, or it'll go straight, which means it's going to hit maybe New Orleans or Texas, or it's going to go left and go towards the Western Caribbean. The average, and you can look this up, it averages one named storm in Belize about every 10 years. Now, would there be a time where there were 2 or 3 in a 10 years, and then are there nothing? And it's another reason why we, A, got the builder that we got. B, we have really nothing on the first floor. We have a 3-floor building that we built. So even our driveway is, you're going up about 5 or 6 or 7 feet into where the driveway is above sea level. So in our peninsula, or the little place that we're living here, is about 8 to 10 feet above sea level, which is pretty good. It's the same thing that we have in Naples. So I wanted you to understand that. But I wanted to understand, I'm going to put on my nerd hat for what I like about how affordable it is. We built a big house, and I'll never forget when I had to pay the first property tax. And we do it through our HOA. It's a small little community here. And Tom, who's the builder, he paid it 5 years in advance for our property tax. Of course, we paid for it. About $59 a year. And people get freaked out. Our partner, Todd, in jewelry, he was a jewelry manufacturer for QVC and HSN and other places. And when I told him, and he saw this house, I said, it's $100 a year. I was overestimating. And he was living in New Jersey at the time, and he said, my property tax is $100 a day. And I thought about it. It's like, yeah, if it's $36,000, that's not unusual for a place in New Jersey. So the first question when I tell people that, the property tax, and I say, oh, and there's no income tax for people that live here. There's very, very low property tax, but there is one tax that takes care of everything. Now, some people like to call this a flat tax. And it's always great, because I was into economics when I was in school. And I always got irritated when people said, the rich people aren't paying their fair share. They're not, they have all these tax breaks. Well, they're also job creators, but I'm not going to get into the politics of it. I'm just going to talk the economics of it. So this country does very, very well on one thing, and it is called a general sales tax. Now, what's a general sales tax? It's a tax on anything you consume. What I like to tell people, that taxing production, meaning workers, taxing production is by the very definition anti-productive. It is not productive. So everybody, nobody's exempt from this. If you are a millionaire and you want to buy a $7 million yacht, you're going to pay 12.5% tax on that yacht if you go out to dinner. Whether you're a local or you're just visiting, 12.5%. If you buy anything in any of the stores, 12.5%. Now the beauty of that, and then I'll get off my high horse, and then I'll get you ready for the next lesson. The beauty of it, nobody's exempt from that. Now there are certain things like the incentives I talked about with the QRP, qualified retired person. Yeah, for that first year, they gave me an incentive to ship some things down to duty and tax-free. So, but other than that, everything that you buy, 12.5%, and that is working for them. So that, I think I'll wrap it up right there. I just really wanted to get you a sense of where it was, where the three major areas are that the expats, but don't limit yourself to that. Some of these other places that are riverfront properties in like Cayo, and even more affordable housing when you're not on the beach. But again, I'm going to be revealing to you that builder who's going to be working on something that is very exciting. I'm not ready to reveal it yet, but it's going to be very affordable living, and I mean very affordable living, and around a farm where there will be food security guaranteed for you. All right, so we'll wrap it up now. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, please, if you can, hit that subscribe button. It doesn't, the button doesn't cost you a cent. I do these for free. And then if you like it, that helps me out as well. We'll see you next time on How to Retire Affordably in Belize. Bye, everybody.